Hello, welcome. Marlene here. Today we're working on some Halloween cookies that can be made using your Christmas cookie cutters. More of you tend to have Christmas cutters than any other kind of shapes and designs. So today we're going to work with what we have instead of constantly needing to buy new things. We're going to work with a Santa head, and you can tweak the design to fit any Santa shape that you have, and then a star cookie. And now on to the step-by-step tutorial. Here's my cookie. I'm just going to start by adding some background icing so that when I airbrush, there's just something to airbrush onto. So just a very thin layer of white icing just to coat the cookie. You can barely see it, but it's there. Here's my template. It doesn't have to be perfectly applied, so I'm just roughly airbrushing here. You can see my stencil's curling up, but it doesn't matter for what this is doing. It's just a guideline. Here are my guidelines. We're ready to go. Everything is dry. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about icing is that for it to heal, it has to be super runny, and for it to hold, it has to be super stiff. That is not the case. If you have icing in your bowl and you're adding your water slowly and you shake the bowl, you'll see it heal. It does not have to be super runny. So I'm working here in ivory, kind of like a bone color. And I'm just creating here the line across the head. And then I'm going to follow my airbrush line here to create the shape of the head. Just like that. You're better to be a bit outside. You can nudge in to your eye here, but if you're too much in, you can't make the eye bigger. And now I'm outlining the other side. You see these guidelines? All I need to replicate my character and know where to pipe. And now I can just quickly fill in this area. There. Just like that. And I'm going to, with my needle, or if you have a toothpick, just heal this over. And like I said, you can kind of nudge it to where you want it to be. And now in a darker icing, like a gray, dark gray, I'm adding immediately to this wet icing the nostrils, just like that. And then I'm going to just do a line straight across, a fine line, a little bit up here, and then continue across. And I'm just going to fill right here. There. Now, next step, he's got like stitches across the mouth, and if you do it with this icing, it's going to be so fat. So all I'm doing is with my needle, I'm just pulling the icing, you see, and it with the needle allows me to create a very fine line, and I'm getting the look of the stitches, and I'm just pulling that dark gray color into the bone color. And there we have the mouth. And now I'm just going to fill in the hat area. I'm not connecting to the skull so that I don't get color bleed. And again, you can see my icing will heal. It's all one consistency. When I do a line, it holds, and when I put it all together, it heals. That is the ultimate goal. Icing you can control, but also get to heal. If you have super runny icing, there's no way for you to dictate what direction it's going to go in. It's basically water, so it will go in the direction of the least resistance, not necessarily where you want it to go. And that's it. We're going to let this dry, and then we'll be able to finalize. Now the beard, I'm adding some shading here on the side with gray. I'm just following my cutter shape here, adding some little kind of ruffles there. And then I'm going to fill the whole rest in white. I'm outlining here the shadow in between the head and the beard. And I don't know if you can see, there's a very slight color difference between the skull and the actual beard area. I'm just filling all this in. Okay. And now I'm just taking that gray icing and adding some lines to the beard area, just all over. Like here, like that. And then with my needle, I'm just pulling the ends and creating like little ruffles in the beard area. Create some shading. And now you can see it's a mess. I'm just going to pick up the cookie and shake it, and that's going to smooth out my surface. Just like that. And we're going to let this dry now before coming in and finalizing the trim on the hat. And you can see the line across. I would have perhaps liked it to have been narrower. When I pulled down to create those like little stitch marks, it did widen that line, but still the best way to get fine lines there to create those kind of like teeth looking stitches. And now the trim on the hat is just some really stiff icing, and I'm just kind of moving around creating some puffiness for the pom-pom. Same thing on the trim of the hat, so I'm just working on the edge of the head, the edge of the hat, like that, and then on top, just going back and forth like this, and it's going to create some height and some texture. And there is his hat. If you have a little pumpkin sprinkle, you could put that on the edge. There he is. Finding the beard area very smooth, so I'm just kind of adding a few lines there. So right on the gray, so that it looks like the shadow's coming from underneath, I'm adding a few white lines. So right on the gray, just like so. And it hides part of the gray, so it's not so much, and just gives the beard a little bit more kind of texture. It is a beard. Here's my star. Not everyone has a gazillion cookie cutters. So for Halloween, I thought we'd do Oogie Boogie so we can use a star. Many people seem to have like Christmas cutters. It's more of the standard cookie season, Christmas. More people decorate Christmas cookies than any other holiday. So if you want to maybe do Halloween, you can rummage through your Christmas cutters and see what can work for other holidays without spending too much. Here is Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas, quickly outlined in a charcoal gray. And then once this has had time to kind of crust over, I'm going to fill my sections in green. Again, a Christmas color that many of you probably have. Moving along with our friend Boogie Oogie, I'm just going to add some lines to the face here. Some black icing. I'm just adding his sinister smile. There. And then following the star shape right here, a triangle and another triangle right here. And just the nature of the character, His surface is like rough. He's made out of burlap. So don't worry too much about a super smooth finish. And now I'm just using here, this is called avocado. So whatever kind of brown or green color you have, it doesn't have to be an exact color match. And we're just filling in the section. I did a black outline and the line in the middle just to add some detail, but if you don't want to have that black outline, you can skip it. But he does have like a stitch around, and I thought it would just facilitate that when I add my lines on him. There. And that's it. I'm just going to shake him out, and he's pretty much half done there. Moving along here, I'm just filling in the top part. Be careful at the face so you don't hide all that. There. Here's my icing. I darkened it, made it a little bit runnier, and here's a crumpled up saran wrap. This is actually Glad Press and Seal. It's different. It's a little bit kind of stiffer. It works better than saran wrap for this type of stuff. And I'm just dabbing it in there. And now I'm just going to kind of spackle or just dab on some green on my guys here, just to kind of give them a bit of texture. He's supposed to be burlap, and so I'm just adding a bit of texture to him. You don't want to go too crazy, just to get, you can do it in the same color if you want, but I just decided to add a different color to get it a little bit more, like that it would show a bit more. And you can just texturize them a little bit. You don't have to, but I thought he was missing a little something. There. And that's it. And this dries super fast. There. I'm just adding a little bit of detail to the face here. He's got like a bit of a brow thing going. I'm just adding that and outlining the lips. His lips are kind of sticking out, so I'm just doing that. And I'm pulling at the corners to kind of get it narrower right here. Our friend Oogie Boogie, final steps. I've timed myself. This is taking 2 minutes per cookie. So I'm creating a blanket stitch around him, and I'm letting the line go out and then just rubbing, like pressing the piping tip against the black line around the perimeter that's dry. And it's like cutting it, and it's giving me a nice kind of polished look. And you just rotate your cookie so that you're getting the blanket stitch all around. And if you like, just like I say, rub the piping tip against the cookie, it cuts it so that you have like a seam going into the perimeter line. And now I'm just going to add some stitching here to this line. So an X. I just like the look of the X. You can just do the lines if you want. And he's done. You could break up the platter with a few pumpkins or some ghosts so it's not so green. Here are the two cookies together. For the Santa head, you just trace whatever cutter you happen to have on a piece of paper, and then you can draw in the skull. just position it right below the hat, and you can quickly tweak the design to suit the cutter that you own. And for the star, when your dough is raw, you can just give it a little bit more movement in the limbs and make it look a little bit more kind of alive, less stiff. And as you can see, a perfectly adorable Halloween cookie set, which could also double as a Christmas cookie set, whichever holiday you wish to celebrate with this cookie design. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.